What do we really know about the chilling connection between UFOs and nuclear bases? Are extraterrestrials coming to Earth for our uranium and plutonium? Let's find out in today's video. We've talked a lot on this channel about the UFO subject. However, one topic that hasn't been given enough attention is the connection between nuclear bases and UFOs. This is a subject that has been kept under wraps for many years now, but some of the documents related to it have been released to the public recently. In 2017, a Freedom of Information Act request revealed some disturbing details regarding UFO sightings at nuclear sites. According to reports from the government, there were multiple sightings of unidentified flying objects near nuclear facilities. The military carried out investigations into these sightings, but they were unable to come up with any logical explanations. These events took place in the 1960s and 70s, but what makes them so significant? Why should we care about UFOs visiting nuclear power plants or storage facilities? These are important questions because the answer could change our perception of what's happening in the world today. It's important to note that all of this information is publicly available. We encourage you to read through the reports and draw your own conclusions. However, we think that the evidence presented here is compelling enough to warrant further investigation into the matter. So what did they find? Well, according to the documents obtained through the Freedom of Information Act request, there were a number of unusual aerial sightings near nuclear facilities across the United States. Some of these sightings were of objects that appeared to be flying underwater. Others seemed to defy the laws of physics by moving at impossible speeds or hovering in midair. And yet others were simply unidentified lights or objects that could not be explained away as natural phenomena. In addition to these sightings, there were also reports of strange electromagnetic disturbances and radiation spikes that occurred in the vicinity of nuclear sites. These anomalies couldn't be attributed to any known natural or man-made source, which led many observers to believe that they were somehow connected to the mysterious objects being seen in the sky. What's more, some witnesses claimed that they had seen beings or vehicles of extraterrestrial origin near these nuclear areas. Although these claims are often dismissed as delusional or conspiratorial, they too are included in the official reports. What's even more interesting is that it appears as though the government knew about these incidents and took steps to cover them up. For example, in one case, a military officer reported seeing an unidentified object flying over his base only to have his superiors order him not to investigate further. In another instance, a civilian employee working at a nuclear facility witnessed a strange craft land nearby and was subsequently reprimanded for wasting time on such frivolous matters. This intentional obfuscation of the truth suggests that those in charge knew there was something more going on here and didn't want the public to find out. It's possible that the powers that be were trying to hide the existence of extraterrestrial visitors who were coming to Earth to study or harvest our nuclear technology. Another possibility is that these incidents were part of a secret government program involving the development of advanced aerospace vehicles or weapons systems. This theory is supported by the fact that many of the sightings occurred during the Cold War era when both the US and Soviet Union were investing heavily in military research. Finally, it's worth noting that not everyone involved in these incidents was willing to keep quiet. Several individuals came forward with their stories despite the potential consequences, hoping that by speaking out, they could help uncover the truth. One such person was an Air Force security policeman who reported seeing a strange object enter the restricted airspace of a nuclear missile site. When he informed his superiors, he was told to keep quiet and was eventually transferred to a different base. Despite the efforts of these brave whistleblowers, the vast majority of these incidents have been classified and forgotten. The official story is that all of these sightings can be explained away as mundane things like weather balloons or airplanes, but is that really true? There are several pieces of evidence that suggest these sightings may have been caused by something more sinister. First, many of the witnesses were credible people who had no reason to lie about what they saw. They were paid by the government to make false claims, nor did they have anything to gain by coming forward with their stories. In fact, they often suffered negative consequences for doing so, such as being ostracized by their colleagues or losing their jobs. Second, there are physical pieces of evidence to back up some of the claims made by witnesses. For example, radar data from the time period shows anomalous aerial vehicles entering restricted airspace around nuclear facilities. Additionally, there are photographs taken by civilians and military personnel alike that appear to capture these strange objects in midair. Finally, there are far too many coincidences here to simply dismiss this topic as a conspiracy theory. There are countless cases of UFOs being seen near nuclear sites all over the world, not just in the United States. And it seems highly unlikely that all of these sightings are simply the result of coincidence. Considering all this evidence, it's hard to argue that there isn't at least some connection between UFOs and nuclear bases. But what exactly is that connection? We can only speculate based on the information currently available to us, but there are a few possibilities worth considering. It's possible that extraterrestrial beings are aware of the immense power contained within nuclear weapons and are coming to Earth to try and steal this technology for themselves. After all, if they are advanced enough to travel through space, it stands to reason that they would be advanced enough to understand the destructive capabilities of nuclear weapons. Additionally, many UFO sightings have been reported near nuclear test sites, suggesting that aliens may be interested in studying or perhaps even harvesting the radioactive material produced by these tests. Of course, this is just speculation, but when you consider the fact that nuclear weapons are arguably the most destructive devices ever created by humankind, it's not hard to see why aliens might want to get their hands on them. Another possibility is that nuclear energy itself attracts UFOs in some way. Perhaps the energy signature produced by nuclear reactors or weapons creates a portal or wormhole that allows aliens to travel back and forth between their home world and ours. This theory is purely speculative and there is no evidence to support it. But again, it's hard to ignore the sheer number of UFO sightings near nuclear sites around the world. If nothing else, this topic raises more questions than it does answers. And until the government releases more information about these incidents, we may never know the truth. That said, there are a few things we can be sure of. First, there is definitely a connection between UFOs and nuclear bases. The evidence is simply too strong to ignore. Second, the government knows more about this topic than it's letting on. The number of classified documents and reports is staggering, and it seems clear that those in charge are intentionally obfuscating the truth. Finally, we should be grateful for the brave individuals who have come forward with their stories despite the personal cost. Because of their courage, we have a better understanding of what's happening in the world around us. Now let's move on to some frequently asked questions about this topic. Why don't the authorities take UFO sightings near nuclear sites more seriously? It's possible that the authorities do take these sightings seriously, but they're not willing to admit it publicly for fear of causing mass panic or economic disruption. Additionally, there's likely a great deal of misinformation and disinformation surrounding this topic, making it difficult for investigators to separate fact from fiction. Have any government officials commented on this issue? Yes, several government officials have commented on the connection between UFOs and nuclear sites. However, their statements have done little to shed light on the issue. Many of these officials have simply dismissed the topic as a conspiracy theory or denied that there is any connection between UFOs and nuclear sites. Is there anything we can do to learn more about this topic? Yes, there are a few things you can do to learn more about the connection between UFOs and nuclear bases. First, you can read through the Freedom of Information Act requests and reports that have been made public. Second, you can reach out to your elected officials and urge them to declassify more documents on this topic. Finally, you can support organizations that are researching this issue. As always, stay tuned for more updates on this and other topics. We're always looking for new ways to bring you the most up-to-date information on everything related to UFOs and nuclear bases. And there you have it. If you enjoyed this video, please remember to leave us a like and subscribe for more informative content. Your engagement helps us continue producing quality videos on a variety of topics. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you in the next one.